an important role model. It's time for the role model part of our visit. And I have a very great man whose life is an example and who should be a role model to every African child. Do you recognize this man? Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela is one of the greatest men to ever walk on the surface of the African continent. And his life is so incredible. He devoted his life. He is a great and brave South African man who devoted his life to fighting against an evil system called apartheid. Apartheid was a system of discrimination which was practiced in South Africa.
People abuse other people just because white people abuse black people.
So it was a system of discrimination, you're correct, because it was based on racism. In other words, discrimination on the basis of your skin color, right? And so you would have certain privileges because you were white, and you would have no privileges at all because you were black. So on the basis of your skin color, you could either earn or access certain privileges, not just because you were a human being. So they denied people rights and basic services and basic needs just, because of their skin color. So this great man, Nelson Mandela, devoted his life to resisting that system. He opposed it. He fought it on the street. He protested against it. He spoke out against it. He devoted his entire life to resisting the creators of that system, the operators of that system, right? And because of his resistance, because of his fight to liberate the people of South Africa, the black South Africans, against such a wicked system of discrimination called apartheid, he was imprisoned. It was at great personal cost. He was imprisoned for 27 years of his life. 27 years. He didn't get to live with his family. He didn't get to raise his children. He was denied his freedom for 27 years, but he never broke. He never changed his mind. He never changed his insistence that apartheid must end. Apartheid must end. It is an evil system. And when he was eventually released, when he eventually gained his freedom, Nelson Mandela became the first black president of South Africa. Of a South Africa that finally ended the wicked apartheid system. But guess what? When he became president, while some people might choose to revenge the wickedness and the evil done against him, Nelson Mandela introduced a policy of forgiveness. He chose to forgive the evil oppressors who had held South Africa and black South Africans down for decades and so long on the principle of apartheid. He chose to forgive them and to unite South Africa under a rainbow coalition where all people of different races should coexist together in harmony, equally and with dignity. And that is the legacy of the great Nelson Mandela. Yes.
But also
Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King, who was a civil rights activist in the United States of America, also fought for freedoms and the liberation of black Americans, that is, people who were of black descent living in America. So there's similarities because they are men of great courage. They fought to liberate other people and they paid the ultimate price. At great personal cost, they stood up for what was right. They stood up for what was right. This is an example to all of us that we must act with courage. We must act to protect the fundamental rights of every other human being. We must never discriminate on other human beings. Do you understand? That is the example, and we must always practice forgiveness. Right? That is the example that we find in the life of Nelson Mandela. Unfortunately, I have to let you go,